Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for your support of Indie Agency News. And let's meet an indie agency. Go to the team, Bullish. You know, I've woken up in the morning, and I often wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Brett and Brent joining us. And when I see Bullish, my eyes might be a little cloudy, and I might interpret that word a little bit differently.
Really? How?
Because you may add like an IT at the end of the SH. We are a family show, but you can curse if you want. I don't care. But no, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, was it bullshit? Oh, geez. Okay. No, it's Bullish. Okay. Got it. I love the agency's name. Mike Duda has been a friend of the family for a long time. So let's talk about when the agency was founded and where y'all are located now.
Sure. I can take that one. I'm Brent Vartan. I'm one of the co-founders and managing partners. So Mike is my family.
Yeah. We're all family.
Yeah, we're all family.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
They've grown up with me.
But yeah, we were really an outcrop of what happened in 2008 because Bullish is a unique thing. That's one part venture capital firm and one part brand agency. There was a lot of things happening that really pushed Mike and then me to start the place. So it's kind of a moving date for where it is. But I think the current incarnation of Bullish is about 8 years old. Okay. And we're headquartered in New York. We've got a couple of outposts throughout the country in Denver and Portland and in Connecticut. And that's us. We're right off of Union Square.
What? Oh, that's always fun. That's a fun spot. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the Portland thing. That's where I am. So ergo the Seattle hat, because we don't have hockey here. But no, I love that. And I love that you're in a place that, because Union Square is super dynamic, and you don't necessarily run into ad people. It's not like you're in Midtown. It's not, because everybody's gone downtown now. I love that fact. How does that inform the vibe and the way that you approach and perceive things? Because again, you're a little bit outside of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are also outside because we sit between two worlds, right? We have a crazy amalgamation of creative designers, expats who would have sat at your Drogas downtown, what have you, or in Brooklyn at smaller agencies. And then you have analysts, people who would have worked at Goldman or JP Morgan Uptown. So we had to find a way to meet in the middle, both geographically and emotionally, spiritually. So I think that's where we find ourselves.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to read right off of Fifth Avenue. Like there's some major research that goes down there, and it's nice. And you're just seeing lots of, like, a huge cross section of just people. I was gonna say Americans, like people from all over the world at times.
Yeah,
just cruising through, which is great. It's a nice reminder.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who, it's my first time in New York. I know somebody who was going to New York recently. I said, "Where are you staying?" And they said Times Square, and I paused for a second. I was like, "No, don't say it." and so I get that. Trust me, I totally get that. But what I've experienced in Union Square is just exactly what you said, where there's a dynamism to it because it's a different gathering area that feels more authentic. That's the way that I approach it. I mean, Italy is sorry, that's not Union Square. That's up. That's Madison Square Park. Sorry, getting my geographies all mixed up. Yeah, that's probably.
You're from New York.
You got it. I mean, that's pretty good, man. You got it.
Well, I got family there, so don't get too impressed. Every agency has a list of things that they are good at. So this is a two-part question. Okay. What do you believe your agency is best known for? And then secondly, what would you say are your top 3 core strengths?
Gosh, this question to me I love hate this question because, you know, everybody wants to be like, we can do anything.
Right. No, that's the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that we're really, so the place is built.
Can you back up because there was a little bit of a hitch. I think your Wi-Fi crapped out. So just lean back into that.
Yeah. I think the thing that we're really, really good at is solving ambiguous problems, where there's a ton of ambition.
Interesting. Oh, I've never heard that before.
Okay, well, good. I think you have to go to the way we're structured and why we built the place. So we built the place to be very friendly in environments where it looks like it's going to be really good over there. We don't know how to get from A to B, and because the core strengths are really around strategy and design, with the ability to put really good advertising into that stuff. That's how we attack problems. So we come in and got consulting grade strategy. I lead a lot of that. And we get in and we understand the situation, understand where the business is going, what the opportunities are relative to competition, and can plot a really good path. And then our head of creative is a classically trained designer. Everything that creative reports into him. And then we just got this kind of varied group of expats, creatives in there that are just really interested in trying to solve the problem by any means necessary. So there's no predetermined solution. So it gives us a lot of flexibility in the way, and the way we run as an independent shop is, it just doesn't matter what specialty is getting paid or whatever, it all goes into one place and we can just put talent onto the issue. So to sum it up, I would just say we're really, really good in situations where there's a lot of ambition, a lot of ambiguity, and someone needs to kind of get from A to B in 9 months instead of being like, I want to hire McKinsey and then I got to go hire an amazing design firm like Pentagram, and I got to hire a crazy, awesome agency like Wyden. All great places, but we can bring some of that stuff. We can do a lot of that stuff and get you out. Right.
So what I find interesting, I want to go back to that ambiguity thing because that did stand out.
Okay.
A voice for me there. But what I find interesting is that in our industry, we've often been taught to keep the brief, and I'm just putting this within the vernacular of the brief.
Yeah.
Keep it super focused, you at least need to have an understanding of the direction of travel. But what is interesting, and I think I've seen this in my experience, is there's the setting up of that expectation, and then the reality that sometimes when you set it up too tight, ambiguity starts seeping in anyway. So why not start with ambiguity? So in some ways, it feels like you're going counter, but I have to imagine that if I'm a brand, if I'm a startup that just got Series B and $50 million, that I have a lot of ambiguity in certain things, and you're addressing that.
Oh,
and that's where you come in with a pithy comment.
I thought there was going to be a question. I was like, what's the question, Doug? Right. Well, I think there's two things. I think there's the functional element of ambiguity, and I think there's the emotional element of ambiguity that we can address. I think to address the functional elements of ambiguity, and this is very much my purview, director of operations, so right. I get to see how the actual sausage gets made. We are sausage, vegan, whichever you take. We're a very systems-oriented place. The way that we run creativity, the way that we run strategy, design, we believe that tighter systems make for more flexible teams. So functionally, we are built so strictly within frameworks that it allows us to handle that ambiguity in a very, very careful way. The other functional piece is what we ask for our partners in that ambiguity, which is, let's be very in constant contact, very hand in hand. We are not, have you give us a problem, we'll go away for 5 weeks and come back. We are in this together, And we expect consistency and clarity of communication so that we can help to solve this problem. And then emotionally, we live in ambiguity with our founders that we invest in, with the companies that we work with. So we've just gotten used to what that feels like, what that means that they need emotionally as a partner. And we can provide that empathy.
I love that answer, Brett. I just want to add one thing, because I think, Doug, the point about the brief, right? I think it's been used as a contract for so long between clients and agencies, and when you lay on like things like hours and blah 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 blah, that's how everybody kind of holds everybody's feet to the fire on what we decided to do. And we're trying to have a much bigger relationship than that. That's been a lot of what Brett's saying, which is just all that experience being in the boat with founder companies and just living with the reality of running our own business. Like, you don't always know exactly what you should do. And it's very rare that it's a clean handoff. Like, okay, we're done with the strategy. Now we're going to go to the creative, and now we're going to go produce it. Like, it's nice when you can create some flow with that, and let the things like inform each other a little bit.
Right. No, completely get that. Let's go into why you love being in indie. Why is being independent important to you?
I think
there's the obvious one. There's the obvious stuff, but take it a little bit wider.
Yeah, no problem. I think everybody's like, we don't have to report to anybody. We can say no. I think we look at it as like, we can say yes. I think we're able to structure ourselves in lots of different ways to try that problem on. Having come from very big shops and all those things, if it's a square peg that is there, and like, oh, we're actually a round hole, well, we can morph and change to those things, and that's really fun. I think there's 4 or 5 things we're working on right now where they're very big briefs. They're huge asks. Together, we're like, what's the right solve for this? And we're working in a high trust kind of relationship where we're going, oh yeah, that's actually, we're going to create a huge activation around that. That's the best way to solve that problem, which is, on the surface of things, it looks like an advertising problem, but we can look that way. And we can show up as an activation solve, and we can say yes to that, and we can go jam and hustle and produce 67 pages of like pretty rad ideas that like look like they're going to get from A to B. We just came from the meeting, and the client was just literally like, it's pretty rare that I see all the ideas being on brief and I wasn't exactly sure what the brief was.
That was really cool. We're riding high off that.
Yeah.
I also, I think, sorry, go ahead, Doug.
No, go ahead.
I think one of the other things is we love being bullish, but it's also really hard.
Yeah.
Right. Being independent is really hard. It's really hard right now.
Yeah.
It is not easy. We love it. We love it, but don't you kind of hate it sometimes? Wouldn't it be nice if had the backfalls and the bureaucracies and all of the things? And when the going gets tough, I think for me, it's really about what independency allows you to create as a culture, which is, for us, things like a yes if culture. So we don't say no. This is what Brent just said, right? It's not about what being independent allows you to say no to. It's what allows you to say yes to. And we just say, well, we're going to say yes, but what are the permutations? And what is the transparency as a teammate to how we're going to get to that yes? With a client, yes, if we talk about these realities. So it allows us to remain, it's not blind optimism. It allows us to remain within some of the, I know we're a family show, some of the shittiness.
We're not that big of a family show. I was just kidding.
Yeah, we're like, I don't know who's showing this to their 7-year-old. If you are, that's awesome. And I want to talk to that kid about how they can work in advertising one day. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. You've covered a lot of ground and a lot of rationale and reasoning why a brand should work with Bullish. But what would you say is the main reason a brand should work with you?
I think for better or worse, to our bottom line, we care.
Right.
We tend to sit in a situation. I mean, we're trying to build a reputation as the shop you call when you want to get that crazy idea into orbit. We've sat with clients and they'll go, "Oh no, we want you to win awards," and we've won awards and all those things, and they're important. They're part necessary of the evil, but we say things like, "Look, we want to be that phone call, and we want to be in the kind of the Harvard Business School case, like, oh, look at what that crazy collection of people were able to do." And that's the stuff that gets us really, really excited. So we follow through. And it's not always the easiest to work with us. Like we say we I mean, we're a POV kind of place, which means like you ask this point of view, we're going to give it to you. And you may push back, and we're going to debate and discuss. And at a certain level, it's your business. We'll get behind it, we'll go as hard as heck on it. But we are a POV kind of place because at the end of the day, we want it to work. We have a huge chip on our shoulders that marketing people, advertising people can work closer into the gestational stages of business and make that stuff go farther, faster. So just making decks or doing cool ideas that don't get out into the world and don't move the needle, it isn't really satisfying to us. So it can kind of sound like a goody two shoes answer, but it really is proof that this model works.
Right. The point of having a point of view, which is important. I think that by not pushing back, that almost becomes a dereliction of duty in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I worked at the Martin Agency, and we all worked on the. Oh, I mean, they're great, and I loved the energy of having that healthy debate and putting clients into these uncomfortable areas and seeing them come around and persuading them that it was the right thing to do. A good example is UPS, and there's CMO Warren, who I think is just one of my top people that I really like in this industry as a marketer. And he told me, he said they pressed and we had really healthy debate. And I believe that is a duty of an agency, especially as we look at it as agencies being under some level of existential assault. I think that's important that we tell that story. Okay, before we start drifting off into this, speaking of Harvard Business Review type of conversation, let's talk about talent. Why should talent be putting Bullish on their list?
I don't know if you know. I don't know, Doug, if you were making that joke on purpose. I actually graduated from Harvard Business School a year ago. A year ago now.
Yeah. I'm a Denver guy. I'm a Denver guy, so University of Denver.
Fair.
University of Virginia.
Oh, okay, there you go. You went to Cambridge. You went to Cambridge Community College up in Cambridge, Mass. Please continue.
I actually went to Harvard Business School online at this point, given that we were there during Zoom. But,
no, I get it. No, I'm just giving you grief. You can take it.
Good. By the way, good. But there's also nothing worse than the person who's like, "Oh, I went to school, liberal arts school up in Boston." You're like, Why does talent like working here? You got to work with us crazy people, apparently.
Yeah. No. For all you art directors out there, we apologize. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I have to make it a personal story because that's the best way that I can think about telling it to others, right? Which is I worked at Deutsch, my first job out of college. Through a myriad of reasons, I was in Sweden for a bit, ended up talking to these two crazy guys in a basement in Brooklyn about this thing they were building called Bullish, and called my parents. Hey, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to go to this company you've never heard of, take a salary pay cut. And they were like, that's a very good idea that we just paid 4 years of college for. Absolutely. Yep. So I started out on the, and Bullish is this thing of early stage investing and an advertising agency. I I didn't know what early stage investing meant, but I was like, that sounds like something I should care about. So sure. Joined my first day at Bullish. Brent and I made a deck called The Future of Retail for the CEO of Van Inc. I was straight out of Deutsch, where there was probably 17 layers between me and Brent at that point. And here I was being asked for my opinion, being asked to stretch myself to join that meeting. So through Nike, Pepsi, Anheuser-Busch, Super Bowl commercials where we were taking calls in bathrooms because we were just trying to figure it all out. I was asked and given the responsibility to grow while also knowing that I had a safety net beneath me. I was able to be the best that I could possibly be in a way that I never thought I could be. And even crazier, then they were like, and you have no financial background, no mathematical skills. I was a history and English major. Why don't you come be an investor? Because we believe in you as a person. Went on to the early stage investing side, did a lot of really exciting things there. And then, I went to this very small liberal arts, just kidding, got into Harvard Business School, definitely because of the recommendations that they wrote me, Mike and Brent, the two co-founders of Bullish. Was there for 2 years. I was with some of the smartest, most well-paid people, professors in the entire world, and worked at one of the most famous consulting firms in the world. And all I wanted to do was come back to Bullish. All I wanted to do was be at a place where people respected me, a place where people pushed me, a place where I was pushed myself to do and grow more than I thought I could. So I then got to come back. And here I am now bringing the bile of the things that I felt when I was at HBS, where they didn't respect creativity. They didn't understand what I was doing. And that's why talent should come to Bullish.
There you go.
You can get all those things.
Yes.
That was a very long answer, Doug.
No. I like it because I set it up with a bunch of garbage giving you grief about Harvard anyway. So it's touche.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Final question here. And it's a thought exercise, whether it's a current client or somebody you'd like to work with. Who's a CMO or marketer you want to say hello to? I saw that eyebrow raise. I was like quasi The Rock there.
We've been thinking about this a little bit, Doug, to be honest. Like, I think we like Mindy Grossman a lot. We've all been very, very interested in the stuff that she does. I had the pleasure of working with her a little bit at HSN for just like a heartbeat.
CMO turned CEO.
Yeah, she's really interesting. She's just a kind of just a lightning rod of a leader. So that's something we've always thought kind of interesting.
Okay, that's a very, very good pick. That is a very good pick.
Yes.
Well, you're not being scored on that. Actually, back up and do it again because your Wi-Fi burped again. So go ahead.
Just do the whole thing again.
Read. Yep.
I think the person that we most like to say hello to is Mindy Grossman. We had the pleasure of working with her for just a flash of a moment when she was at HSN, and then we've been watching her career, and she's just a lightning rod of a leader. Just really, really like the way she thinks. Yeah.
I'd say that's a really good pick. We're not scoring here, but I would say, that pedigree and that experience. Going back to Ralph Lauren, Nike, Bloomin' Brands, love that one.
Good call.
That was my first.
Was it?
Deutsch on Bloomin' Brands.
Yeah, it was in that big layered structure.
What brand did you have?
Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Bloomin' Onion. Get a Bloomin' Onion.
So good. They're so good.
They are so good. But she was also president and CEO at Weight Watchers, WW.
Yes.
So I think that's where a lot of people might know her from. So yeah, excellent choices. This was a fascinating conversation. Brent, I haven't given you enough grief. Where did you go to school and where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Bay Area. Very proud.
Oh, all right. Interview's over. No, I'm kidding.
I went to Berkeley.
Boo! No, actually, that's cool. At least he didn't go to Stanford.
I studied
offense to
literary
Huh?
theory.
Oh,
Everybody's
literary theory?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. Oh, you probably hung out with like Alice Waters all the time too, didn't you?
Yeah. But I started in advertising as a strategist because a lot of it is around pattern recognition and themes and all those things. And it is really funny when I show up in rooms as a venture capitalist, they're like, Berkeley literary theory. How does that work?
Right.
And it is pretty interesting because we are trying to pick businesses to invest in that are really early stage and founder driven and culturally needed. And then, it's just, I've loved having Berkeley as a background. I was not the smartest kid in the world. I got in there because I could run fast. It's a longer story. But having that and then being in New York for the last 20 years, I just love the duality. It's been great. It's been great.
Yeah.
It's really
and
like
here's
two sides of myself.
So here's an analog though, is that think about it. All right. Your major and your background. Now you tie this into early stage. What's the one thing that early stage companies have the biggest problem with? Telling their story. So you were actually building that in unknowingly, unwittingly, and then you fell into this or moved towards that. It's interesting how we do like latch on to some of the things that we learned and how they translate into what we're doing today.
I love that, Doug, and that was so quickly available to you. I'm embarrassed to say I've never thought about it that way. So I appreciate that. This has been very helpful for me.
Well, I'm glad to be of service. Well, this was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure that our paths will cross when I make my way to New York, but on behalf of all two of us at India Agency News, we thank you so much for the time and best wishes for continued success.
Thank you much. Appreciate the time.